Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm a journal freak. Since it's Corona and we're all bored anyways, I thought it'd be fun to share some of my diaries with you, and I wanted to share with you guys what 17 years of writing diaries has taught me, and it'll apply to you whether you write journals or not. A box here of my many journals over the past 2 decades. I am 23 this year. I never really go back and look on these journals, but given the boredom of quarantine, I decided to flip through them today, share with you guys some interesting snippets, and then talk about what exactly I've learned from these 17 years of journaling. So just keep watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave me a like. I have many stacks of different journals. This was my very first journal. It dates back to 2003. I built this whole journal, and as you can see, my writing got better at the end. Oh my god. Everyone has a different story about why they started journaling. Reading Anne Frank's diary for the first time inspired me to journal. Despite the terrible things happening around her, she was still able to have this happy little sanctuary in her diary. As a kid, I was like, oh my god, like that's insane. So I'm not gonna go through all my journals because that would take ages. We don't have time for that. I'm gonna kind of show you guys the vibe. So in elementary school, these kind of composition books were super trendy. I used to like coloring journals in with highlighter. I was always really crazy about my cover page, just drawing random doodles. I remember doing these doodles with gel pens, which were a really big thing when I was like 7. I have a candle burning right there, and I'm really scared I'm gonna drop everything and set a fire. I remember the cover of this one so much because it was so decked out. I have a ton of stickers. I even like kind of made my own stickers. I have some Hello Kitty stuff, Prince of Tennis, which I was obsessed with, and then some little fruit emojis down here. So I like to always decorate my covers. I remember just really liking composition books. I don't know, it just kind of set the vibe for me because that's like how I started most of my journals. Most of the time I was just writing about things that were happening, Halloween, playdates, exciting things like that. I found this in one of my drawers and I made the little charms on here. At one point I was making cell phone charms of these and selling them to my classmates. So this is actually a business account book. No, I'm kidding. Even as an elementary schooler, I was stressed about grades. Like, how is that even? Oh, and I wrote a lot of uber dramatic poetry. So I'm just giving y'all a little walkthrough first because honestly, it's kind of nostalgic of a decade where social media wasn't around. Everything was just a lot more simple. I bought this in a bookstore in San Francisco with my aunt. I remember being really excited for this because it was the first like big journal that I ever had. "10 years later, here I am showing it to the entire internet." At this point, I remember starting to be kind of OCD about writing everything down, even like things that I bought that I really liked. I would also fangirl about dramas all the time. It was like a little fandom just in this notebook. And then at one point I went to Japan for an exchange. I always had this trepidation about time passing and never coming back. Thinking on it now, maybe that's just like a subconscious awareness of mortality. Journaling is a form of recording down things in your life that had an impact, but it can also be this kind of double-edged sword. Every time you go and experience something, you have to come back later and write all about it. I think this is the first time I ever had a journal with no lines, but it was fun because then your artwork looks really good. Entry about me dyeing my hair, so very relevant still. If you like doing something, you should keep doing it, as long as it's not hurting anyone. You do what you do. Like, there's no right or wrong hobby to have. It's just for your own enjoyment. And reflecting back on it, most of my life I genuinely enjoyed journaling. I would talk to my journal like a best friend. Some of my entries literally say, "You're my best friend." I'm getting to the good part, which is high school and college, and I'm gonna talk about what I learned in those years. If you guys are liking this video so far, remember to subscribe to my channel and leave me a like down below. I switched over to Moleskine in high school. These are some of my journals from high school. I feel like in high school, they were more profound and artsy, if I were to toot my own horn. This is from when I met my boyfriend in summer camps. And then I was so excited by our dates that my writing became really small again. And then I have like, I'm writing about Tetris here. I was really into Tetris that one. First year of college, I sort of didn't journal. I say sort of because I had a class notebook that ended up becoming a journal anyway. Like, I have some Korean in here, but it's mostly still kind of me journaling. So these are my college journals. It's a combination of Moleskine and Leichstrum journals, which people use for bullet journaling and journaling. I really liked them for journaling. In college, I always had this back and forth about journaling. Like, should I do it? Should I not? Is it good for me? Is it bad for me? This is when I also started getting into bullet journaling. So if you guys watched some of my college videos, you might have seen the appearance of some of these bullet journals. This was also when I began to see more content around journaling, like different bullet journal setups, YouTubers talking about journaling. That kind of added to my internal debate about, should I be journaling? What kind of journaling should I be doing? Should I be keeping a diary or doing a bullet journal? If you're a fellow journal or diary writer, say hi, because I love to meet people who journal. In college, my journaling definitely became more straightforward, which is not necessarily bad. College is obviously a really busy time. Overall, my journals were a lot less crackheady. I mean, there's still some really funny entries where I'm like, what? Like, this is so random. I had gotten my offer to my job. So some key takeaways from these 17 years. First of all, life is really unpredictable. My life took so many turns and transitions. It's just a good reminder that life is really, really unpredictable and that we should always try our best to live in the moment. This is something I learned when I was doing some career research. The things that you loved as a child are normally significant in some way or another. Looking back on the things that you did as a kid can be really, really insightful. I ended up writing a poetry book that I finally just recently published. Shameless plug for myself. If you want to check that book out, I'll link it down below. It also has illustrations drawn by yours truly. If you look to childhood memorabilia, it doesn't have to be diaries. It could be art projects or old records of any sort. There are a lot of clues in your childhood. Another thing that I learned, you can experience the exact same emotion through different ages. Like, when I was an elementary schooler or middle schooler, I still had anxiety about things. I just didn't know what the word anxiety was, so I'd write about it in a different way. That feeling itself might not be different, but the ways that you process that emotion can vary greatly. We are complex people from day one. I have this perception that my childhood years were just chill, rainbows and butterflies, and I didn't have a care in the world. Looking back on all of days, I realized that is so not the case. Some of my emotions may have been even more turbulent in middle school than they were in college. It's kind of a random thought, but I find that really interesting. I think honestly my elementary school journals are the funnier ones to look back on because that was before I was whipped by society and my spelling was really bad. The other thing that I've reflected on is that even though journaling can be a huge time suck and you can get major hand cramps from it, time well spent is never time wasted. Or something like that. One of my first YouTube videos was actually a walkthrough of my journals. I took it down because it was just uber embarrassing. Looking back on my journals reminds me of just how much I've been through to get to where I am today, and that applies to every single one of you watching this video. I just happen to keep a record of everything that happened, but I can guarantee this happens to everyone. Growing up is such a long process. That's something I would have honestly forgotten had I not looked through some of these journals. I have so much footage right now, I don't even want to think about how long it's gonna take me to edit this, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, I love you. If you have any questions at all about journaling, how to start, what to do, blah, 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 or you have any comments about it, you can reach out to me. You can leave a comment down below or you can message me on Instagram. If you've always wanted to journal, don't be intimidated to start journaling. I mean, there's really no right way to do it. If you are a fellow journal bug like me, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about your journaling experience. Thank you so much for watching. I post new videos every week. See you soon.